What's going on, guys? JPS back for another video, and today we're going to be reacting to 10 countries warning their citizens not to visit the United States. So we're going to get right into this, but before that, I wanted to say something. Recently at my university and neighboring universities in the same state, some students have had their visas removed. Just suddenly their visas were removed. They had F1 visas, which are basically visas that allow international students to come to the United States as long as they're studying at an accredited university or college. But everything has happened so abruptly, and I don't know the full scope of the situation, but it's very unfortunate to hear that, and just another example of the Trump administration cracking down on immigration, but in a manner that is just so like sudden and shocking. I just feel like there has to be a better way to go about some of these things. Like, come on, you know what I mean? So anyways, we're going to get into this. I just wanted to say that because it immediately when I was reacting to this video, like I had this video pulled up, it brought that right into my mind, and that's something that's happened quite recently, like within the past week. So yeah, 10 countries warning their citizens not to visit the US. Not a good thing at all for the United States. You know, we want to have people coming over here, not only visiting, moving over here. I mean, it's huge for our tourism industry, which impacts everything when you think about it. I mean, tourists are so important, vital to the economy. So we're going to see what are these 10 countries and why are they warning their citizens not to visit. With that being said, guys, I hope you enjoy this. Let's get right into it. Much love to everybody watching this. Not everyone in the United States feels the same way as our president does. I have to start every video like this, but it's really true, guys. It's really true. We got a lot of love for everyone else out there in the world, and we're hoping that everything works out and we will get past all of this stuff. So with that being said, let's get right into this.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into something wild. 10 countries that are straight up telling their people, hey, maybe skip the US for now. Crazy, right? We're talking travel warnings, border dramas, and some serious global shade. Why are these nations hitting the brakes on US trips? Stick around as we break it all down country by country. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button and let's get into it. First up, the United Kingdom. The UK's Foreign Office updated its travel advice for the US in March 2025, warning Brits about strict entry rules. They're telling travelers to double-check visa or ESTA requirements because even valid documents might not guarantee entry. Why? Reports of British citizens detained at U.S. borders for minor visa issues, like overstays or unclear travel purposes, have spiked since Trump's immigration crackdown kicked in. The advisory doesn't call it a ban, but it's clear. Follow the rules or risk arrest. The UK sends about 4 million tourists to the U.S. yearly, so this could dent that number. Some Brits are even canceling trips, fearing a hostile welcome. The tension might tie back to Trump's comments on European trade, too, calling out the EU hasn't helped. For now, the UK's message is caution. Enjoy your trip, but have your paperwork in order, or you might be on the next flight home. Next, Germany. The German Federal Foreign...
Like, the fact that the UK is saying that, they're not saying don't visit, but they're saying take caution. That's our, like, brother in terms of countries, like places. The relationship should not look like that at any point in time. Like, that's just ridiculous in my mind. And I'm sure that people, regardless of the travel warnings or advisories, that people are just going to cancel their trips regardless because they don't want to support our economy or give us any money or even visit our country anymore because of all the things that we're saying. Like, it's just not good, bro. Literally, the rest of the world is what made the United States what it is today. Immigrants are what made the United States what it is. The United States is nothing without everyone else. Because guess what? Before that, it was just Native Americans, bro. They had everything settled down. And then we just came in and ruined their lives. And then people came from around the world and we created this country. That's how I see U.S. history. So to create a hostile environment where people are not welcome from other places should be the exact opposite of what the United States is doing. But that's what we're doing right now. So It's very unfortunate, and it pains me to see this, to watch a video like this.
Updated its U.S. travel advice this month, stressing that a visa or ESTA doesn't mean you're in the clear. They've warned that U.S. officials can deny entry at their discretion, no appeal allowed. This comes after several German nationals were detained at U.S. borders in early 2025, some for past minor overstays or vague travel plans. Germany's not calling it a travel ban, but the tone's serious. Expect scrutiny. About 2 million Germans visit the U.S. annually, and this could shake that up. The advisory also hints at broader unease. Trump's hardline policies, like his two-gender stance, clash with Germany's progressive values, especially for trans travelers. Add in trade spats, and it's a perfect storm. Germans are being told to prepare for tough questioning and possible rejection. Travel's still on, but it's not the carefree trip it once was. Number 3 is Canada, our neighbors to the north. Recently, Canada updated its U.S. travel advisory, urging citizens to register with U.S. authorities if staying over 30 days. This follows a Vancouver woman's week-long detention at the border over a visa mix-up. Canadian MP Charlie Angus even went viral, pleading, "Avoid the U.S. if possible," calling it a tyranny under Trump. The advisory's practical: follow entry rules or face deportation, but the rhetoric's heated. Canada's worried about Trump's threats to annex them as the 51st state, plus border crackdowns hitting dual citizens hard. With millions crossing yearly, this could chill travel. Some Canadians are boycotting U.S. trips over politics, too. It's not a full warning yet, but the vibe's clear. The U.S. isn't as welcoming as it was, and Ottawa wants its people ready for a rougher ride south of the border. Coming in at...
That's a big shame, too. As someone who has crossed between the United States and Canada border several times, I see that, like, during those times, I've noticed, like, wow, people could use this every day for a commute, like crossing the border. It's so easy to, well, it was so easy to do. I'm not sure how that process is, what that process is like anymore, but that's a big shame because we had so much commerce coming through the border. People had jobs across the border between Canada and the United States. A lot of towns on the border. It's so sad that a country directly north of us that we're, again, supposed to be allies with, best friends with, is advising its citizens not really to come here and to exercise caution if they do. Like, just should not be that way. Something else I wanted to add when I was talking about U.S. history, how United States is all immigrants and people from around the world. Some of them came here searching for a better life. Some of them were just brought here against their will. So when you think about United States history, we basically have screwed over every group of people from around the world. Almost every race has been royally effed by the United States. People have just been treated so poorly, like they're not even human. And then now we're acting like this, bro. Oh my. It's so hard to be a proud American nowadays. And those who are proud Americans, they don't even know what's going on. Because if you know all this stuff, you can't be proud. You can't be proud.
And Ottawa wants its people ready for a rougher ride south of the border. Coming in at 4, Denmark. This Scandinavian country revised its U.S. travel advisory with a twist. It's specifically warning transgender travelers. Why? The Trump administration's two-gender policy means passports with an X marker might get you turned away. Denmark's telling its citizens to contact the U.S. Embassy first if they're trans or non-binary. Beyond that, they're echoing others. Valid visas don't guarantee entry, and enforcement's tight. Denmark's progressive stance clashes with U.S. shifts, and this advisory reflects that tension. It's not a blanket don't go, but it's a red flag for a specific group. Danish tourists, about 300,000 yearly, might rethink plans, especially with horror stories of border detentions circulating. Add Trump's EU critiques and Denmark's caution makes sense. Travel's doable, but for some, it's a risk not worth taking right now. 5th on our...
And again, getting into the transgender, non-binary, listen, essentially, it doesn't matter what your gender is or whatever you identify as, bro. You're human at the end of the day. Like, I don't understand why a marking next to gender or whatever it is somehow people aren't allowed in or they're under scrutiny because of that. Like, bro, he's making it a way bigger deal than it ever was. And that's just so frustrating, bro. And then I'm hearing all these numbers. Like, this is a lot. I did not realize how many tourists some of these European countries had coming to the United States. We're missing out on a lot of tourists. Like, this is a big deal for so many reasons. Seems like every country has updated their travel guidelines or advice.
Our list is Finland.
Finland.
Like Denmark, Finland updated its U.S. travel advisory in March 2025, zeroing in on transgender and non-binary travelers. With Trump's policy recognizing only male or female genders, Finnish passports with X markers could lead to entry denials. The advice: check with the U.S. Embassy before booking. Finland's also warning about stricter border checks. Visas or ISTA approvals aren't sure thing anymore. This follows reports of Europeans, including Finns, facing unexpected detentions. Finland's small but steady flow of U.S. tourists, around 200,000 yearly, might dip if this sticks. The advisory's not a full stop, but it's a heads up. The U.S. feels less predictable now. Tensions over Trump's EU stance and Finland's inclusive values add context. For Finns, it's about weighing the hassle against the trip, cautions the name of the game. At number 6...
I remember I met a guy from Finland and when I was in Berlin a couple of years ago, and he was just so knowledgeable about United States history, like more so than almost any American I've ever met. So that was pretty surprising, but I'm sure they're not much of a big fan of the United States at this point, because that was also kind of towards the end of the first Trump term. So I'm only imagining, like, Europeans already had to put up with us for 4 years, and now it's like it's happening again. I'm sure, like, when the election happened, you guys were probably just in shock, like couldn't believe it. And so was everyone here, because it's just like, here we are again. Couldn't get another candidate, I guess. Just whatever. It's so unfortunate, guys.
Name of the game. At number 6, France. The French government hasn't issued a formal U.S. travel warning yet, but they updated guidance, urging citizens to be vigilant about entry rules. France is watching the trend. Detentions of Europeans at U.S. borders are up, and they're not taking chances. The advisory flags that even valid visas might not cut it if U.S. officials suspect anything off. France sends over 1 million tourists to the U.S. yearly, so this matters. Some link it to Trump's EU trade jabs. France isn't thrilled with his screw the EU vibe. Plus, there's chatter about safety for LGBTQ plus travelers after U.S. policy shifts. It's not a don't go yet, but the tone's shifting. Travel blogs say French tourists are nervous about feeling unwelcome. For now, France says go, but go prepared. The U.S. isn't the open door it once was for less blues. 7th, New Zealand. New Zealand updated its U.S. travel advice, warning Kiwis that entry's no sure thing, even with an ESTA. The advisory cites tougher border enforcement, with risks of detention for minor slip-ups like overstays. This follows a few high-profile cases of New Zealanders turned back at U.S. airports. About 300,000 Kiwis visit the U.S. yearly, and this could slow that down. New Zealand's government isn't saying...
Dude, imagine flying from New Zealand or Australia to the United States, and you get off the flight, you get to customs, and they say no. I would lose my mind, because that has to be like a 24-hour flight. Just take a second to understand that, guys. Oh my God. I mean, not just New Zealand though. I mean, if you're coming from Asia, it's still like an extremely long like journey. And again, we're just so inhospitable to people coming to our country, which is just, I don't know why we have to have such a rude approach that's ruining our relationships with other people and countries. It's not the right way to go about this stuff at all.
Don't go, but they're blunt. U.S. officials have final say, no exceptions. Some tie this to Trump's global trade rhetoric. New Zealand's an ally, but not immune to tension. Social media is buzzing with Kiwis debating if it's worth the risk.
No,
Safety's
it's
not
not
the
worth the
issue.
risk.
It's the unpredictability. New Zealand's message is clear. Love the US, but pack patience and perfect paperwork, or you might be watching the Statue of Liberty from a deportation lounge. Number
Jesus
8 is
Christ.
Australia. Australia
That's an insane line at the end. I should not be laughing, but like, why did he say it like that? Wow.
lounge. Number 8 is
What's
Australia.
Australia got to say?
Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs raised its U.S. travel advice, warning Aussies to expect rigorous border checks. Even with an ESTA or visa, entry is not guaranteed. U.S. officials can deny you for past overstays or unclear intentions. This comes after reports of Australians detained stateside, some for minor visa hiccups. Around 1.5 million Aussies visit the U.S. yearly, so this hits home. The advisory is not a ban, but it's a wake-up call. Trump's immigration push means business. Some Aussies are souring on U.S. trips, citing trade spats and a closed-off vibe. Safety's fine, but the hassle? Less appealing. Australia's still pro-travel, urging prep over panic. Check rules, dot I's, cross T's. For now, it's about navigating a stricter system, not avoiding it. The U.S. remains a draw, but the welcome mats got some new fine print. 9th, Ireland.
That's true. In terms of safety, though, is the United States really a safe country to visit? Like, as a tourist coming from Europe, would you really feel safe in the United States? I've heard people cite that they don't because of the guns. And I can see that. So what's the point in making all this hassle to visit a country that's like doesn't even appreciate you fully and isn't really safe? It's not really worth it in my mind, guys. And I wish that wasn't the case because I want to see Europeans over here. It always makes me happy to see people visiting this country and my fellow students in classes. I've had students from Germany in my classes, international students and stuff. Like, that's what you want. You want that. That's what makes going to an international school worth it. A place there people want to go all over the world to. But we're just sending people home randomly. It's not looking good.
9th, Ireland. Ireland's Department of Foreign Affairs updated its U.S. travel advice, cautioning citizens about tighter entry rules. They're warning that even valid visas or ESTAs might not get you past U.S. customs if something's off, like a past overstay. This follows tales of Irish travelers detained at borders, sparking headlines back home. Ireland sends about 700,000 tourists to the U.S. yearly, many tied to family ties, so this stings. The advisory's not a don't go, but a be ready. U.S. enforcement's no joke under Trump. Some Irish see it as fallout from his EU critiques. Others just want a smooth J one summer. No major safety flags, just procedural headaches. Ireland's keeping it practical. Know the rules, or risk a U-turn. The U.S. is still a draw, but the charm's dimming if you're stuck explaining yourself at JFK. Caution's key here. Finally, the Netherlands. The Dutch government tweaked its U.S. travel advice, warning citizens that entry's trickier now. Even with an ESTA or visa, U.S. officials can say no. Past overstays or vague plans could land you in detention. This follows a few Dutch travelers getting bounced at the border, raising eyebrows. The Netherlands sends about 800,000 tourists to the U.S. yearly, and this might cool that off. The advisory's not a ban, just a heads up. Trump's policies mean stricter scrutiny. Some Dutch tie it to his EU trade barbs. Relations are chillier. Others worry about progressive travelers like trans folks facing hassles after the two-gender rule. Safety's not the issue. Unpredictability is. The Dutch say go, but go smart. Check everything twice. The U.S. is still on the map, but it's less of a carefree jaunt for Netherlanders now. That's it. 10 countries waving red flags about U.S.
Those are all big, prominent countries as well. And allies. So, wow, guys, that was 10 countries warning their citizens not to visit the United States. I want to hear in the comments, did anyone have a trip planned to the United States this year? Or has anyone traveled to the United States already this year? How was that experience if you've traveled here? If you had a trip planned, are you still going? And best of luck to all of you who do decide to visit our country. Many people here will be happy to see you, and I hope that everything goes well in arriving through customs and all of that. So yeah, a lot of these travel advisories and warnings and advice from these countries were similar. It feels like a lot of them feel the same way about some of the new policies that Trump has enacted. And it's a shame, too, because, again, we're talking about millions of tourists, restaurant industry, hotels, tourist stuff that people do in cities. All of these things, like, we're gonna see the loss, hopefully. So for those of you who boycott, I definitely support you, and I completely understand why you would not want to visit our country at this time. And all I can say is I hope for a better future and a time when things aren't this way, and people can travel more freely from place to place, because that's how it should be. It's a world, after all. Everyone should be able to travel around the world. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Let me know what you think about this whole situation in the comments. I appreciate you all. Hang in there. Much love, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.